All right, so now that you have all of those things written down, I rounded them to the nearest tenth. So let's take a look at what all these symbols mean, okay? The X with the bar, that is called the mean, all right? So this symbol here, this is the mean. And if you remember from middle school, the mean is just the average, promedio, okay? So it's the average of your data. Then this is very new. So this is like completely ninth grade. The big S with the X, that value is known as the standard standard deviation, okay? Now, obviously, the other ones are kind of self-explanatory, but I'll go through them. Minimum is that's minimum, which obviously means your smallest data. It's like 6. You can see it in the graph too. The max is clearly the maximum. Now, MED, you should recognize that also. That's going to be the median, all right? So MED is the median. And the median is just the name for the data that is in the middle, okay? The middle data. So I'm just going to write that as middle. And then medio, okay? Now, Q1 and Q3, this should remind you of box and whisker plots, if you remember that. But Q1 is called the first quartile, okay? And the Q is coming from the quartile. And this one is the third quartile, so it's known as the third quartile. So today's class, I actually talked about all of these, right? In particular, we really focused on Q1, Q3, median and median, mean, and standard deviation. I actually used pretty much all of them. So I'm going to do another video where I show you what we do with the other ones. But just for the do now, right? If you go back up, you can pause it here if you need to. The do now is just asking you for the median, the average age, which is the mean, and the mode. Now, of all the things you see there, the one thing that the calculator does not give you is this, okay? The calculator won't tell you that, but you could see that from the data, okay? If you don't remember this from middle school, I can write it for you here. The mode, this is the number that repeats the most, okay? The number that repeats the most. You should see through this data, actually, there's 2 of them that repeat the same amount of times, the most amount of times. So if you analyze it, 11 and 12 are the modes. So sometimes you have more than one mode, sometimes there's only one. This case, you could see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 11s, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 12s, as I showed you here in the data, right? There was 4 of them, and 1, 2, there's 4 12s. So in fact, the modes in the dot plot, you could see the modes just by looking at which one has the most dots. So the modes are 11 and 12. Those are the modes. Okay? So I'm gonna make a new video now to talk about the other ones, all right? But this video should hopefully like get you to understand how do these symbols, right? Like when you go to stat and you go to one variable stats, what do these symbols mean? So you have to know that, okay? So that's what this video is for. I'm gonna do another video and go through some